Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're so grateful for those who are joining us tonight as we culminate and celebrate with the confirmation class of 5780. We know that back in September, we joined the year 5781, but the confirmands that we celebrate with tonight embarked on their year of study before the year 5780 began and had a wonderful year of study until the pandemic hit, so that we had to then begin to learn online and Zoom, as so many of us have experienced over the last year. And through several aborted hopes at confirmation, we find ourselves on this wonderful evening. During this afternoon, we had the privilege of celebrating with each of our confirmands and their parents in a special ceremony in the Rabbi Merle Singer Sanctuary here at Temple Bethel. But tonight we have a chance to bring our whole class together, and we're so grateful for the opportunity to celebrate with each of these wonderful young people. We begin, if you have one of our service booklets, as some of you do, on page 1. We gather together as family and friends, a congregation, to give thanks for the gift of Torah and to celebrate the confirmation of a new generation of young Jewish men and women. In meditation and prayer and song and in joy, we seek this evening to give expression to the hopes and dreams of ages of our people and to yearnings and hopes of parents. And we listen for new voices of wonder and spirit who join in our everlasting covenant and our ever-growing chain of tradition.
We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Lidor vador nakid godlecha. Lidor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Lidor vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part, we are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. Ledor vador nagid God lecha. Ledor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name.
We continue on page 7 in our service booklet. Parents of confirmands, I ask you to join me at this time. Together, parents of confirmands, we read, "O God, I turn to you in gratitude for the gift of this sacred day. I thank you again for the blessing of parenthood, which so deeply enriches my life. Let this moment inspire me to engage in my own process of confirmation. Let my family be open to the transformative power of Jewish life and tradition. And may I dedicate myself to study, to prayer, to service, to this congregation, and to the sacred acts of loving kindness that will ultimately repair our fractured world. Grant me the wisdom to grow in myself as my child grows in the years ahead. Let the example I set be one of compassion, learning, and righteous conduct. May my child ever respond to the call to love our neighbors, but also heed the call to love the self. Oh God, help my child to find the path to wholeness, to uncover the sparks of holiness that fill our world, and to grow to become a pursuer of peace. Let your presence dwell in our house and in our hearts, and bless us all with manner of goodness.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Top of page 8. Tonight, as we gather for moments of worship and reflection, we take time to consider what it means to pray. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, "Prayer clarifies our hopes and intentions. It helps us discover our true aspirations, the pangs we ignore, the longings we forget. It gives us the opportunity to be honest, to say what we believe, and to stand for what we say. Prayer teaches us what to aspire to. So often we do not know what to cling to. Prayer implants in us the ideals we ought to cherish. Traditionally, the tefillah provides for us an opportunity to reflect on our needs, to call out to God as a partner, an ally, a force beyond ourselves who can lead us to find the holiness we think we lack inside, or who can help us to build a world of holiness outside. Here, we add our prayers and pray that the righteousness of our ancestors, the power of God's care and compassion, and the spark of holiness inside each one of us, which is the reflection of God's own presence, will help us to see them answered."
Beauty is something containing many layers. Beauty can be purely physical or something that is unseen and internal. The way we express beauty is different for everyone. And that is what makes us individuals who are each different in our own way. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses us with the quality of beauty.
Anohi Adonai Elohecha.
No, Zoe, read on page 8.
There are people in this world who can distinguish between right and wrong. They have a moral compass and understand what it takes to be a good person. Blessed are you, Adonai, who understands goodness and morality.
You give us a brush of happiness and teach us what life is about. Without it, we would be lifeless and alone. And with it, we spread ours and make the world a happier place. Blessed are you, Adonai, for the gift of happiness.
Family and friends are what define love, and they are very important to me. Family, friends, and the love we share is what helps me get through life. Blessed are you, Adonai, who helps my family and friends express our love.
Ultimate happiness is achieved through love and friendship. Sharing the feeling of love so deeply is so meaningful and can sometimes be the fuel that keeps people going. Blessed are you, Adonai, who lets people love.
Blessed are you, Adonai. May we strive to live up to your example.
Take pride in people who spread peace. Thank your ancestors for the opportunities and appreciate every moment they have given. Blessed are you, Adonai, who speaks and spreads peace to all.
Go ahead, Doug.
All right.
Doug, we're having a hard time hearing you. No, we still don't hear you, Doug. That's okay. We're going to move on to Isaac.
Compassion is the eternal value that defines our human existence. Without it, we are nothing but a mere creature. With it, we are able to bring light to the day. Blessed are you, Adonai, who has given us compassion.
Happiness resonates with me greatly. If I don't have happiness, I'm sad. Normally, I try to spend time with friends rather than studying. This jeopardizes my grades. But happiness means the world to me. Blessed are you, Adonai, for granting us with happiness.
You grace humans with happiness and shine a light on the good moments in life, while sharing your patience and understandings for the bad moments. Blessed are you, Adonai, who grants us happiness.
Grant us love, Adonai. Let us feel compassion so great that it can be mistaken as no other feeling but love. Let love make us whole. Blessed are you, Adonai, who grants us love.
May all individuals have the quality of goodness and morality, and may you bring goodness to those who are good. Blessed are you, Adonai, who loves goodness and morality.
Wisdom is one of the most.
It was connected to the fucking camera.
Oh, Doug, we can hear you now. Good.
Wisdom is one of the most important values oneself can have through the journey of life. It allows for understanding, empathy, love, and solutions for anything you'll encounter. With wisdom comes decision that will not only benefit you, but will help others. Blessed are you, Adonai. May wisdom be within everyone's reach.
To me, to live freely means to live life to the fullest. To live life in the moment and take time to focus on what matters. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches us to live life to the fullest.
Appreciate your life and the people who surround you through expression of love and gratitude. Take the time to look around and realize how blessed you are before complaining and getting down. Think of the infinite possibilities that you have and take risks and chances. Live life like there is no tomorrow and always let people who you care about know how important they are to you. But last of all, love with your heart and not your mind, because your heart will guide you on the right path. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives me the gift of life.
Give people of all ages a place to call their own, granting families full of care and protection. Blessed are you, Adonai, who creates homes of love.
Acceptance of one another is very valuable to the human condition. Everyone should be accepted of who they are, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, beliefs, and/or ideas. Not just one person, but everyone should be accepted for the way they choose to be. Blessed are you, Adonai, who demands acceptance.
Creator of all beings, you gave us the capacity to love. Oh God, help me find the true meaning of love. Help me find eternal happiness coming from that love. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives the capacity to love.
Family is of the utmost importance, for it is the grounding of all of our lives. Family is the part of our lives that will never disappear in the good and bad times. Family is full of love and wisdom that allows us all to flourish. Blessed are you, Adonai, for the gift of family that you provided for me to cherish.
You give humans the will to do things. Help us complete our tasks willingly every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives determination.
Friendship keeps us connected. Through friendship, we stay social and not lonely. We build memories with our peers, and we build a connection to the people around us that are in our life every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses us with the gift of friendship within our community.
Happiness is being at peace with your body through a physical and mental state. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who says for all to be happy.
And Doug Nilsson.
Having wisdom is an important trait humans need to survive. Wisdom means you are smart, have a lot of experience, and or have a good memory for school or in general. Wisdom isn't something that the average person has, so it's something you need to strive for. Blessed are you, Adonai, for empowering me and the rest of the world with wisdom.
We take time now for a few moments of silent prayer.
Sometimes I lay under the moon, I thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Oh, say shalom, bimromav, yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imru amen. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day.
Page 12.
Somewhere out of time, in the mystery of time, somewhere between memory and forgetfulness, dimly though, I remember how once I stood at your mountain, trembling amid the fire and the thunder, how I stood there out of bondage in a strange land and afraid. And you loved me and you fed me, and I feasted on your words. And yes, I can remember how the thunder was my heart and the fire was my soul. Oh God, I do remember. The fire burns in me anew, and here I am once more, a witness to that timeless moment, present now in the light of your Torah.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, ככל בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה, ועל מי נעשה לכל לראש.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hambora. Baruch Adonai Hambora Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu Netorato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Vayaber Elohim et kol hadvarim ha'ele lemor.
Anohi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzetiah me'eretz Mitzrayim me'beit avadim.
Lo yihiyeh lecha Elohim acherim al panai.
Lo ta'aseh lecha fesel v'chol
Nope, hold on
temunah.
1 second. Nope, Lance will get you. We're gonna Jenna read first.
You shall not have other gods before me in the top 10 commandments, because in Judaism we are monotheistic and we worship one God. Some may not observe this because they believe some may be better off idolizing another figure. The world may not change if people do not believe in one God or the same God. Perhaps believing in many gods will make someone unique.
The first commandment, as stated, is, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. This basically is a statement illustrating one of the many things that Adonai has done for us, and God wants us to recognize that and respect him for it, basically to guarantee that he is our one and only God. The second commandment goes into more detail about this monotheistic concept, and the first commandment simply highlights a moment where God exerts kindness and generosity for us to see, and clearly to help us, the Jewish people.
I think that the reason this commandment is in the top 10 is because one major thing that everyone should have in life is a role model or someone to look up to. I think this commandment is very special because it doesn't only apply to religious people who believe in God, but can also apply to anyone else that has someone to look up to, such as a parent, celebrity, teacher, or anyone else they deem worthy of taking on an aspect of and learning from. I think that some people don't observe this commandment because they may believe in more than one set of ideologies, they may not believe in God, or maybe they have multiple people in their life that they would deem as important to them as God. I think that if everyone in the world followed this commandment, there would be both good and bad things that would happen. On the good side, everyone would have a sense of guidance and a certain set of rules that they know they should abide by. But on the bad side, this would almost make everyone carbon copies of each other in a sense, with a few exceptions. I think that if everyone followed this commandment, we may not see as much creativity and we may be more closed-minded. That being said, the commandment does allow for people to learn the lesson of the importance of respecting those who have done positive things for you. Just like how it is told that God brought the people out from the house of slaves in the first commandment. This commandment teaches a sense of respect that is very important in our day-to-day life.
Lo ta'aseh lecha fesel v'chol temunah asher b'shamayim mimal va'asher b'mayim mitachat va'asher b'mayim mitachat la'aretz.
Lo tishtaveh lahem velo tavdem, ki anochi Adonai Elohecha Elkanah, poked avon avot al banim, al shileshim ve'al ribeim lesonai. Ve'oseh hesed lalafim le'ohavai u'shomrei mitzvotai.
This is important because it takes away from the notion that God is one. When people create statues and idols, it seems like God is not one all-powerful figure. Rather, it seems like each idol has power, which takes away from the fact that God is one. People might not observe this all the time because it is hard to visualize God and believe in God's presence when you never physically see him. Therefore, people create idols to help them visualize God and feel more connected. What would happen if all people observed this commandment? If all people observed it, there would be positives and negatives. One negative is that people might have trouble truly believing in God and visualizing his presence. Positive is that everyone will believe and pray to God in the same way, which will connect everyone spiritually.
The second commandment is a part of the 10 Commandments, for it is showing that we as Jews should not have any idols.
Barry, your Hebrew part, bud.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I was wrong. You're doing right. I made a mistake. You're doing great.
The second commandment is a part of the 10 Commandments, for it is showing that we as Jews should not have any idols in any form because we only have one God. We should not worship idols because they are not Adonai, and Adonai has thousands who observe him as their God. People don't observe this because some believe in other idols, and there are different beliefs that are within the realm of our world in the modern age. Along with this, our world would be a world with one religion, and there wouldn't be any diverse beliefs or thoughts. Lo tisa et shem Adonai Elohecha lashav ki lo yinache Adonai et asher yisa et shemo lashav.
The third commandment says, do not use God's name for a false or vain purpose, which means do not be disrespectful when talking about God or doubt that there is only one God. Sometimes people don't fulfill their promises or keep their word because they were looking for a way to make the situation better in the moment without thinking about how realistic the promise is. If everyone was true to their word and kept all their promises, we would live in a much more predictable society, and people would probably get along a lot more. This is in the top 10 commandments because staying loyal is what's true to you, and what is true to you is really important. And you would want the same type of loyalty from the people that are true to you also.
The third commandment says that you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. This commandment is important because it is often misunderstood. Many people mistakenly believe that this means you cannot say, "Oh my God," or use God's name when swearing. But what it actually means is that you should not promise something in God's name with the intention of not keeping it. People break this commandment to convince someone of a lie by swearing to God. An example is when someone gets married and promises to God that they will stay loyal, but always have the intention of cheating on their spouse. If everyone followed this commandment, the act of swearing to God would always mean that someone has the right intentions and is not lying.
Zahor et Yom HaShabbat l'kadsho. Sheshet Yamim Tavod Ve'asita Kol Melateha.
Yom Hashvi'i Shabbat la'Adonai Elohecha lo ta'aseh chol melacha ata uvincha uvitecha abdacha va'amatcha uvintecha v'geracha asher bisharecha.
Ki shashet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz et hayam ve'et kol asher ba'am vayanach bayom hashvi'i al kein beirach Adonai et yom hashabbat vaykadshehu.
The fourth commandment is to remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. It's important to take a break and rest. It shows that you remember and appreciate that God worked hard for 6 days and then rested. By doing this, it's showing you remember what God did for you and you are grateful for it. You can use Shabbat to think about what's important and be grateful for what you have. Many people tend not to observe it because they're workaholics or they forget about it. Lots of people can't go a day, even a few hours, without using technology or doing things you can't do on Shabbat. If everyone kept this commandment, people would be less stressed and would be more appreciative of the break they get after working hard for a whole week. People would be more appreciative and grateful for the stuff they have instead of what they could have.
This is in the top 10 commandments because it is important that we as a society and a Jewish community observe and remember Shabbat, or the day of rest, because we need to respect Adonai and take this day to rest just as he did when he created the universe. In a way, we are respecting his hard work and dedication to our existence. However, we are just as righteously respecting our own. Tradition like this has been present for generations in the past, and due to its importance in the Jewish religion, it continues to exist today. People nowadays do not observe this simply due to the modernization of society. We choose to prioritize ourselves and forget that the great battles that our ancestors once fought to preserve them and pave the path for us. This tradition has since been forgotten and deemed less important in many societies and current generations. Many younger adolescents are drifting away from religion and into atheism. If everyone preserved Shabbat, it would be a more holy and Jewish place. However, due to the nature of our society, many work themselves too hard and do not observe Shabbat. Kabid et aviha ve'et imeha lema'an ya'arihun yameha al ha'adama asher Adonai Elohecha noten la.
To honor your father and mother is in the top 10 of the commandments is because the people who bore you, assisted each other in the creation of you, are your parents. And because of that, you have a sense of obligation to honor them in some way. Certain situations arise in which respect or honoring your parents is difficult, and that may compromise your belief in the commandments. If everyone were to honor their mother or father, no matter what, then the future would be unpredictable. For example, if you were born to a tyrannical ruler or a dictator or a bad person in general, then how could you honor them when they themselves break or don't follow the 10 commandments or just moral obligations in general?
Our mothers and fathers gave us the gift of life, and they have provided a house, food, and clothing to us, so it's important for us to respect them as much as we can. I think people observe this commandment because some can realize how much their parents have sacrificed for them to give the best opportunities and provide a great life for them, so in return their children will respect them. If people didn't observe this commandment, then there wouldn't be a sense of family in society, and many people won't know how to respect other people in society if they can't respect their parents. Some people might have emotional or physically abusive parents, so they aren't able to respect their parents when there's nothing to respect.
Hello, Tessa.
You shall not murder is in the 10 Commandments because it is a basic known thing to do. People know killing is bad, but some still choose to do it. People fail to observe it because of people having such anger that they feel it is necessary to take others' lives. If people followed and did not murder, the world would be a better place. People would not have to fear for their life or fear losing it at any moment.
Do not murder is in the 10 Commandments because taking someone's life is unjustifiable. People only break this commandment if they are extremely mentally challenged and do not see the value in others' lives. If no one broke this commandment, the world would be a much better place, and so many more people would be able to live their full lives without their opportunities being taken from them.
Commandment 6 belongs in the top 10 because of the seriousness of stealing another person's life that does not belong to you. When I look at Commandment 6, I feel as if it is 2 commandments in one, 6 and 8. You shall not steal. When you take another life, you are stealing their future, their goals, and the memories they have set for themselves and accomplished throughout their life, all in one selfless action. When it comes to taking another person's life, there are many reasons why You could be put in a situation where in order to protect yourself, you have to do what is necessary to make sure you are not harmed. There are also reasons such as feelings for another person that can cause you to act out on them because of anger or even a matter of controversy between opinions. If everyone refrained from murder, it would seem like everything would come to peace and harmony, but in reality, there's a lot of gray area behind this belief. A lot of jobs dealing with murder victims, such as special crime task units or even morgues that deal with murder victim wounds, or even police officers would not be needed because there would be no point if nobody's at risk of being killed by another person.
Loading off.
Commandment 7 states, "You shall not commit adultery." It is important never to commit adultery because relationships are a huge part of life, and your significant other has to be able to trust that you won't cheat on them and ruin their relationship. People don't observe this because they are unhappy with their relationship, or they are not good people and do not care of the feelings of their partner. The world would be much better if people observed this commandment because there would be better trust in relationships and would not be any questions over things that can tear people apart.
It is important never to commit adultery because when you are with someone that you are sharing your life with, when you have chosen to have a relationship built and based on trust and then go on and cheat on them, it shows that you don't respect them. People don't observe this because some feel like they can get away with anything and don't trust that person. So they go off to form other relationships, but those relationships don't have much trust in them either. If people observe this, then there would be lower rates of divorces and people would have more trust and faith in each other.
Loading no.
You shall not steal. You shall not steal is in the top 10 because if something does not belong to you, you have no right to take it. By stealing, you are saying you are more worthy of the thing you are stealing. Also, you do not know the owner's life and how difficult it is or how meaningful the object is to them. People steal because they are either jealous, less fortunate, or find it fun to get away with doing something wrong. If people did not steal, everyone would be more trustworthy and welcoming. However, some people steal to survive. For example, people without money may steal food. If everyone did not steal, the people who steal to survive will starve or die.
A person's moral and community would be in chaos if the commandment not to steal wasn't one of the most important rules. People don't follow this commandment because certain things are easy to take from others, whether it benefits them or is aimed to harm others. People usually steal because they usually want something they can't or don't have, or if they don't want to pay for it. By stealing, it harms a person's moral and how others think of a person. It shows that a person does not have control in acting and living like anyone else normally does in society. The world would be more at peace and more put together if everyone did not steal. People would be able to work for things they want without having it being taken away.
The eighth commandment, you shall not steal, is one of the commandments in the top 10 because of its ability to solidify relationships with others around the world. Resisting any urge to steal gives you and the ones around you common respect as well as a sense of security. Accepting what is rightfully yours allows you to have a clear conscience and move forward in the future. Many people break this commandment because stealing is the easy way to acquire things and is quickest. Doing things the right way is the only true way to be deserving of your possessions and truly appreciate those possessions because of the work you put in to get them. If nobody ever stole, the world would be more trusting of people and therefore more comfortable. Stealing is the easy way out, not the right one.
Lotane Vareaha Ed Shaker.
You shall not testify against your neighbor as a lying witness. This is so important because without trust, what is the point of forming relationships? People do not observe this commandment because they are seeking personal gain. If no one in the world lied, I believe the world would be a much more peaceful place and better relationships will have formed. There would be more justice.
This commandment is in the top 10 because if someone acts as a witness in order to secure their innocence or will hurt someone else, then it shows that they themselves see themselves as greater than others. This gives them the idea that they are godlike, which goes against the other commandments. People fail to observe this because they are scared to face the consequences of their actions. They also do it because they find it easier to lie than to have the weight of what they did put onto them. If everyone followed this, then the world would have a lot less innocent people facing the repercussions that others deserve. It would also allow for society to advance, since everyone would be accountable for their actions, and the innocent will continue to contribute to the society.
Low talk mode, Beatreha. Low talk mode, Beatreha. Vado Vamato, Bishora, Vahamora, Beho Asher Loreha.
Rounding out the top 10 commandments is the moral to not envy the possessions of others. This value is in the first 10 because it teaches a lesson of placing importance on the individual rather than the material. This commandment is one of the most difficult to observe because of the human nature to envy. Whether someone else has it or not, the human being is built to strive for everything it wants. Although it is easy to tell ourselves not to envy others, we often find it takes great strength to overcome that greed. If the world was able to follow this commandment in its entirety, though it may seem as if we would lack ambition, the global community would live more virtuously and with a higher standard of quality than before. Often we seem to place a greater importance on items that others are in possession of. When we are able to expel this envy, the world becomes a more diverse place. We find our lives become full of only what we need, and our views of others become more about their virtue rather than what they possess.
This deserves to be in the top 10 commandments because of the strong and impactful purpose it holds. Jealousy comes out of the lack of trust in the process of life and the lack of faith you have in yourself. Jealousy comes from insecurities and the feeling of being uncomfortable with yourself. To defeat these insecurities, one must acknowledge the root of them to ultimately self-improve. People aren't aware of this commandment because envy is difficult to ignore because it happens unpredictably and suddenly. When a friend or a person has something we like, it's easy to complain. However, it is often forgotten that just because others have what we want does not negate our worth or the type of person we are. Temporary items do not have the same degree of significance as infinite components do. More valuable than any superficial thing is having a good heart, good intentions, and a good head on your shoulders. The world would be a brighter and happier place if everyone followed this commandment. Rather than being envious of one another's success, everyone would congratulate each other and support one another, which would bring more joy and fulfillment than ever initially envying someone else's achievements. Having the opportunity to experience this enjoyment and happiness with others strengthens and deepens human connections and relationships. There is a scale to coveting, as people can use jealousy as inspiration to work harder for a better life. We can go through life disliking people because of the things they have, or accept others and others' accomplishments, use them as motivation. This is why this commandment is important. The world would certainly be a happier place if more people were optimistic and didn't take people's success as threats to our own.
Vechoham ro'im et hakalot vet chalapedim va'et ko hashafar vet hahar ashen vayar ha'am vayanu vayamdu merachok.
The Torah teaches us that it was not our ancestors alone who stood at the foot of Mount Sinai, but also we who stand here today. If we listen carefully, we can hear God's commanding voice speak to us every day. Not only do we still hear the echoes of words God spoke in ages past, but also the clarion call of commandments for our generation.
You shall respect all others.
You shall be impeccable with your word.
You shall treat others how they want to be treated.
You shall have the right to live Judaism.
You shall treat everyone with kindness.
You shall give thanks and understand all that has been a blessing in your life.
You shall not disrespect others based on their physicality or mindset.
You should not use the people closest to you for personal gain.
You shall respect your family.
You shall treat everyone as equals.
You shall be honest.
You shall be kind to others.
You shall be honest to yourself and to the world around you.
You shall care for yourself because our bodies are the vessel for the soul.
You shall not shame.
You shall love your friends and family.
You shall do what is right, even when nobody is watching.
You shall attempt to maintain peace at all costs. For peace is the ultimate purveyor of the beliefs of our people.
You shall treat others with kindness and respect, should they treat you with the same kindness and respect.
You shall treat everyone with as much kindness that you have with your family.
You shall not judge a person due to race or gender.
You shall never knowingly do something to harm someone else's well-being just for the sake of helping yourself.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vador Vador, from generation to generation. The Torah is a book of stories, family stories. And like any family, each year, as we read the Torah, we tell the same stories over and over again. The amazing things about these stories, about Abraham and Sarah, Moses and Miriam, is that the more often you hear the stories, the more you feel like you know these characters, our ancestors. You get to know them as people, you understand what made them who they were, and what gave them joy or pain, anguish or fulfillment. So we can imagine how powerful are the stories that we share with our own families, whose lives inspire us, whose memories guide us, and all that they left behind to nurture and instruct us.
In 1922, when my great-grandpa Ira was 12, he and his brother had to walk across a frozen river on a moonless night to escape guards in Russia. They could not fit in the boat and were running from the Russian Tsar.
My paternal grandmother, Celia Kaufman, immigrated from Cuba. She was placed in a Cuban refugee home on her way to America when she stopped in Jamaica. She was separated from her uncle, but did eventually find him again.
My great-grandfather, Leo Gruen, left Germany in 1939 aboard a ship to America with his sister. He smuggled 5 Torahs out of Germany. 2 went to Johannesburg, South Africa, and 3 were in his trunk after he found out he could leave Germany, and the inspector told him he could be bribed to look the other way. Upon arriving in America, he was very afraid when the customs agent asked him what was in his trunk. He said books. The agent then opened the trunk to look and surprised him by kissing the 3 scrolls and saying, "Welcome to the free land, my friend." The Torah scrolls then went to a newly established congregation that was starting up in Batavia, New York, Temple Bethel. There, my great-grandfather met my great-grandmother, and they married in that temple.
On my mother's side, my grandma's family came from Jamaica and they were pirates. On my father's side, my grandpa's family came to America and their last name was changed from Lushakov to Koff.
My great-grandmother worked in a millinery shop. In walked a man by the name of Bill Chusner with his brother-in-law, Harry, and cast his eyes upon Beatrice Kaminsky and said to Harry, "I'm going to marry that girl." And Harry said, "Not that girl. She's way out of your league." That girl became his wife soon after.
My grandpa Al had a friend named Bob who he went to school with. He saw a photo in Bob's wallet of a girl and asked who she was. Bob said, "It's my girlfriend's friend, Max." Bob gave Al her number and they went on their first date when she was 17 and he was 19. 3 months later, Al asked Max to marry him and she said yes. They've been together for 59 years.
When my great-grandfather Bill walked with his mother and sister when he was 12 from Ukraine to Antwerp to catch a boat to the US. On the way, he was arrested but let go for being so cute. In 1996, we took him back to Ellis Island. He wasn't very enthusiastic. He shrugged his shoulders after being asked for a dramatic story and said, "I was there for 3 hours."
My Nonna and Papa met in Italy and fell in love and decided to move to the United States together. When they got here, they had no money, no house, and they were sleeping on a park bench. My Papa decided to not just feel bad for himself, so he went and started his own oil drilling business. Soon after, he got many employees and was able to provide for himself, his wife, and my mom and her sisters.
My great-grandfather had a family tradition of Sunday appetizing. To be more specific, my bubby often fondly remembers her grandfather walking down the street carrying 2 heavy bags of bagels, lox, and herring for everyone to enjoy a special weekly meal together.
My paternal grandmother lived in an apartment with her sister in New York. I met my grandfather in the lobby. He had them flip a coin to go to a Broadway show with him, and she won. Then my grandfather asked my grandmother to join him on a 6-week business trip around the world. He then proposed in Rockefeller Center. They had to plan a wedding in 2 weeks in my grandmother's house. They ended up traveling the world together.
My great-grandfather, Harry Kane, was in England and helped people in need during World War II. He owned a bakery and would make sure homeless and other hungry people had food to eat.
My great-great-grandfather was a doctor in China and the first in the family to move to Taiwan. He and his family had to change their last name from Chen to Jinjai when my great-great-grandfather worked as a police officer during the Japanese occupation of Taiwan. All of his children had Japanese names. Eventually, they were able to return to their Chinese culture.
Yeah, when my Grandma Ria and Grandpa Joe got married, Grandma Ria was anxious for a dog and they wanted to move to Florida. She claimed on those terms she would get married. That dog was named Shada Maidala, and they have had dogs ever since. At one point, they have even had 5 dogs. All of their children love dogs, and dogs are essential to happiness. I love dogs myself, so I guess it runs in the family.
In 1963, my grandmother and her parents hosted their first foreign exchange student for a year. Because her family was very religious and her father was a cantor, they only wanted someone Jewish. They did get a Jewish exchange student from Uruguay. Her parents came to visit but didn't speak any English, and my great-grandparents didn't speak Spanish, so they communicated in Yiddish. Years later, my mom still remembers driving every year to a small countryside town in Massachusetts with her siblings to attend the high holidays, where my grandfather served as a cantor. She remembers him in his white robe and tall yarmulke, leading this tiny Jewish congregation with his strong voice, then driving back to her grandmother's for a traditional and delicious meal.
At 13, my mom chose not to be a bat mitzvah because of everything she learned about the Holocaust and didn't believe there was a God who would allow this. She continued her Jewish studies, and at 26 years old, she was bat mitzvahed in Israel. She says it was the most incredible experience because at that point in her life, it had so much more meaning to her to be Jewish.
Every month, my maternal grandmother and her cousins spent time together. They created the Crone Family's Cousins Club. The club grew to include all of the families of the siblings and cousins as time passed.
My father was in Iraq in the army when my mother was pregnant with me. They had already picked the name Rachel, but didn't have a middle name. My father was in missions around Fallujah and hadn't been to a computer in 11 days. In the middle of the night, a mortar round exploded near where he was sleeping and knocked into the side of a Humvee. He didn't get hurt. That morning, he was on a base in Ramadi and he got to a computer to check his email. There was one from my mom titled Middle Name Idea. The body of the email said Faith. My father replied with one word, perfect.
My family uses a tallis that was passed down through the generations to every bar mitzvah. We've had it for 103 years and it was started by my great-grandfather.
My parents purchased a kiddish cut for their wedding 23 years ago at Temple Soleil in Hollywood, Florida. After using it in their wedding, they have continued to use it in all of our family's simchas and for Passover seders to Shabbat dinners.
Our family has 2 rings that are passed down and worn on special occasions. My grandma Cheryl has her mother's wedding ring, and my Aunt Tilly has an engagement ring that came from her paternal great-grandmother in Poland. It had always been passed down to the oldest son's wife.
My great-grandmother Betty remembers when my grandfather Mark would bring my grandmother Rana home for Friday night Shabbat dinners. Grandma Betty would always cook big dinners, which she had learned to do from her mom, that resembled Passover meals. They always had chicken, usually potatoes, and a vegetable. She also baked dessert because her sons all liked different things. Over the years, my grandmother Rana took over the responsibility of the family dinners and has turned it into an art form. According to my great-grandmother Betty, she is very proud that my grandma continued to carry on the traditions that were a big part of her household.
We have a recipe for Bubba Gussie's chicken matzo ball soup, created sometime in the 1940s. The recipe calls for 4 pounds of pullet, which is actually a young hen. My great-grandmother would use a pullet for her soup back when she was younger and would go to the butcher to get the pullet. As time went on, my grandmother started to use whole chicken, but now my mom makes it with chicken breast. My mother has become famous for her soup. She has become the Meals on Wheels lady in the neighborhood during the pandemic and makes soup for her older neighbors for the holidays or if they are sick or during the winter. I know my sister and I will continue the tradition and make it a 4th-generation recipe.
We take time now to offer a prayer for our parents. So our parents, if you'll join us in these blessings together. On this day of your confirmation, these are our hopes and dreams for you, our children, that you will keep Judaism close to your heart and its traditions a part of your family, that you will build a world that will stand on Torah, on prayer and meditation, on lives committed to making this world a place where we can dwell with God as one. That wherever you may go, this congregation, this synagogue, and this community will always be your home. That you will have the joy of seeing your own children find their place in God's covenant. Parents, join me. May this day remain in your heart and mind as yet another milestone in your Jewish life, one that you will pass on to your children as we have given it to you.
Let Judaism be the foundation of your life as a code of goodness, a source of consolation in times of trial or celebration in times of joy. May your Jewish heritage help you to build a relationship with God, find a spiritual center to achieve wholeness and peace. Parents, together, no matter how old or wise you become, you will always be my child. I've tried to give you all the good in me. You've given me the best in you. May you learn to laugh and never forget to weep. May you reach into the future, yet never forget your past. May you come to appreciate all the blessings in your life. Find self-confidence and courage to achieve all your dreams.
Let the idea of tzedakah, of righteous giving, guide your decisions as you walk through life. Be firm in your resolves, not afraid to risk expressing your opinion, yet showing respect for those who differ. For each of us is created in the image of God. Parents, join me as we say, we send you into the future with the hope that you will be able to face adversity with strength, to continue to wrestle with God and pass on your commitment to Judaism to your children. We send you into the future with pride and hope and the knowledge that you will take your individual sense of self and your Jewish tradition and turn them into wings, soaring to the heights, becoming all that you can be. Let your Jewish heritage be the catalyst that will show you the path of love of self, love of your neighbor, and a commitment to show compassion to the stranger and all you may meet along the way. May God grant you long life, good health, peace, and joy. May God protect you, bless you, walk with you, show you the way, and be your shield. May your eyes shine with the light of Torah, and your face be radiant as the shining of the dawn. May your lips speak words of wisdom, and may you live to see the world of your dreams.
I want to take this opportunity to express Mazel Tov to all of the members of our confirmation class, your families, parents, your grandparents, and all who are sharing in our celebration today. I loved being with each of you on Tuesday nights. I loved to see you sprawled out on the beanbags or cuddled up on the couch, or sometimes sitting in the chairs in the corner when you couldn't get there early enough to get a more comfy seat. And what has been so painful in the last year is not simply that we haven't had a chance to be together, to embrace each other, to throw our arms around each other, but that you have become two-dimensional. I see you each week when we were finishing class on the screen in your little boxes on Zoom, and you're this. You are height and width. But what you were able to show me, and what you've shown us all tonight, in the midst of this very strange and unique confirmation service, is the fact that you don't just have two dimensions, you have many more. In some ways, you have a third dimension, because God knows we were able to perceive your depth tonight. We were able to see into your minds and into your ideas, to your family histories, into your souls. But what I want you to also imagine is that you are even more than three-dimensional. You have so many dimensions to your being. There is the part of you that you can't see and that you can't touch, that you cannot simply describe, but that makes you the true essence of who you each are. Take a moment, each of you who is here with us, and I want you to close your eyes. Come on, do it. And I want you to look inside yourself. And I want you to see your core values, the principles that you believe in more firmly than anything. I want you to see embedded inside of yourself all of the people who love you and with whom you share love, who have formed and shaped you, who influence you and guide you, who are your mentors and your role models, those whom you would love to grow up to be, and those whom you will certainly grow to surpass. I want you to go even deeper than that into the mystery of who you are, because there's so much of what you are and what you will become that you cannot even yet discover. There are so many dimensions to you. We're taught in Jewish tradition that every word of Torah can be understood in 70 different ways, that there are almost an unlimited and infinite number of ways to try to understand what it is that God is trying to have us do with our lives. And so in some ways that might tell us that there is no such thing as truth, that there is no such thing as moral values, that there is no such thing as essential rights and wrongs, that everything goes and anything is okay. And gosh knows, in the last year, we have begun to wonder whether maybe that's just the way of the world. But it doesn't have to be that way. It was that way long ago, more than 3,800 years ago, until a man named Abraham and a woman named Sarah heard God's call, Lech Lecha, get yourself going to a land that I will show you, and I will make your name great, and I will bless you, and through you will all of the nations of the world find blessing. Blessing is that signpost for God. Blessing is that conduit that helps us to realize the real essence of God that dwells within us and in the world that is out there for us to find. What Abraham and Sarah and their descendants discovered is that life is of infinite and ultimate value. And that if you really want to find God's presence, then you'll go searching for wisdom and understanding. You'll go searching for compassion and try to find justice. You will seek balance and tranquility, and you will balance your efforts to accomplish that which will advance you in life and the need that you will have to stand back in awe and wonder at the sheer surprise and gift of living. And to realize that the holy transcendent element of God is not so far away, but is embedded in our world and in ourselves. I want each and every one of you to be those conduits, to be those agents, to be those people who will, like Abraham, like Sarah, go on a journey of blessing, go on a journey where you will establish a new moral order and a new code of righteousness that will make the world more whole, more fair, more loving, more resilient, more compassionate, and more one than the one that you are growing to inherit. I want you to see that vision of that world that you will help to create, that you will grow to pursue, and that you will have the ability to establish. It may seem lonely to do it. It may seem futile when all of the forces of the world seem to zig, when you know your tradition teaches you to zag. But mostly what I hope that you will achieve in the course of your life's journey is an understanding that you are never alone. You are walking in the footsteps of Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob, Leah and Rachel, your great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, yourselves, your rabbis, your cantors, your educators, your community who love you and support you and who will help you to grow to be all that you can be. Mazel tov. And I look forward to hopefully being a part of the journey that we all will share together and to watch you soar into the Jewish future you will create. It's now my privilege to welcome Heather Erez, our extraordinary director of Jewish life and learning and engagement and education and all things wide and wonderful, to share some blessings of Gri.
Not everybody gets confirmed, but I am confident that every single one of the religious school teachers, Hebrew tutors, chaperones, and administrators that were part of your Jewish journey so far at Temple Bethel is so proud that you dedicated the time and took the focus to be here today. Your commitment to continuing to build on each piece that these educators were a part of is the biggest sign of appreciation anybody could ask for. We look forward to seeing how you continue to grow in your Judaism in the coming years, and we will always be by your side, even if you don't see us. I'm sure that each of your teachers join me in wishing you all a hearty Mazal Tov on this accomplishment. Additionally, it is my pleasure to present to all of you a Kar Mezuzah from the Brotherhood of Temple Bethel, which you may have already seen in your bags. And there is also a Tanakh from the Reform Women, or the Women of Reform Judaism, the Sisterhood at Temple Bethel. So enjoy that Tanakh. And this year, because things were a little wonky, you may have noticed, and we've already talked about it, that you each got a matching Havdalah set that we are going to use tonight for the first time all together. But this is something that is unique to this confirmation class. So please use it in the future, and we will think of you when we use ours as well. Mazal Tov to all of you.
And now it's my privilege to welcome my wonderful co-teacher and partner in leading confirmation, Marcy Schultz.
I want to begin by telling all of you how blessed I feel to have been on this journey with you. Life itself is a journey that gives us winding roads and potholes and detours and stop signs and highways that can take us anywhere that we want to go. Typically, I could say this to any confirmation class, and that statement would be true. However, this last year for you all, it really, really holds true. You have all been thrown a winding road with many turns, uncertainties, and challenges. My hopes and prayers for you is that you all can reflect on the lessons and the topics of confirmation when those roads start winding and you're not sure which direction you should turn. From tattoos to intimacy, from commandments to commitments, you have spent this year, or last year, with your Jewish lenses, with your glasses on. My prayer is that when life happens, you reflect on what does my tradition teach me and how do I feel about that? So you can make those educated decisions. You are all amazing, and my hopes and dreams for you are the same as they are for my own children. Who would have thought a year and a half ago, when you all made those little painted portraits at the confirmation retreat, and you had to figure out how to make from the many and make one, how profound it would be this time later. The world sometimes seems broken and fractured, especially with the last year. That image has become very meaningful when I looked at it today on your confirmation booklet. Always find the good, always find the positive and the whole to help you stay whole. Life will at times feel fractured and broken, but our rich tradition with your amazing strength and the beauty that you all possess will guide you to love, peace, and happiness. I adore you all, and I'm so proud of you and what you've accomplished this year. Mazal tov.
Thank you, Marcy. And now we will continue with concluding our service with Havdalah in your service booklets on page 32.
We live in an imperfect world. It is a world that is broken. Violence rages. Truth does not hold sway. Hatred ravages the hearts and souls of countless people. We keep God at a distance and our spirits sequestered on the periphery of our lives. We pursue fleeting power, glory, and pleasure, while ignoring that which will be lasting and good and true. And yet we cling to hope, for we know that there is a better way.
God has blessed us with the capacity to imagine, to wonder, to see the world not only as it is, but also as it should be one day. God has blessed us with a vision of a world redeemed, a world in which those who hate are given over to love, in which falsehood is erased and truth is understood by all, in which people beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. God has taught us to imagine a world at peace, a world that is one.
This Shabbat offers us a glimpse of that vision, a glimpse of what our world would look like if the prayers and dreams of the confirmation class of 5780 will come to fruition. Last year, our class explored our understanding of what God's presence might look like, of how Torah came to be the expression of God's vision for us, how Torah and the centuries of interpretation guide us in the process of our moral decisions. We turned our attention to prayer and how the ritual tradition of our people guides us to keep our focus on that which is of the ultimate value. We examined how we live our lives in relationship and how we learn to love ourselves, each other, our families, our people, and our world. We wrestled with the history and challenges facing the modern state of Israel.
Through it all, we learned that we need to live deliberately, to always keep the mission of building a holy life and a holy world in the crosshairs of our focus. We learned that it is more often the questions rather than the answers that will help us find the wisdom to become the best expression of our most authentic selves. We learned that to be Yisrael is to be one who wrestles with ourselves, with each other, with the moral tradition that we are so blessed to inherit, and with the God whose covenant we confirm tonight.
Invite all of our confirmands to light the candles with their Havdalah sets. As this Shabbat comes to a close, we carry the sweetness, the spirit, and the light of our learning forward into our lives as Jews. May we commit ourselves to grow to be faithful partners with the Holy One, to building a world that is filled with love, with justice, with understanding, and peace.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. agafen yararai yalai yalalai yalai yalalai yalalai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei besamim borei minei besamim yaladai yalai yalalai yalai yalalai yalalai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei meorei ha'esh borei meorei ha'esh yalalai yalai yalalai yalai yalalai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil bein kodesh lecho bein or lechoshech bein Yisrael la'ami bein yom hashvi'i l'sheshet yemei ha'maaseh Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil bein kodesh lecho Eliyahu hanavi, Eliyahu hatishbi, Eliyahu agiladi, bimheira beyameinu, yavo eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu hanavi, Eliyahu hatishbi, Eliyahu agiladi, Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and light increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and light increase.
We appreciate Mr. Siegel dancing in the background there, and I'm so grateful he's signing up for next year's confirmation class. That, I think, is your ticket in. I really want to express many, many thanks to Ross Klinkenhaus and our entire maintenance team for helping to produce tonight's wonderful service. And many thanks to all of the members of our class for being such extraordinary partners in learning with us, and we hope to go together with you from strength to strength. And now we'll conclude with a prayer that each of you should go on your way with a path that is blessed and filled with insight, understanding, and with peace.
May we be blessed as we go on our way. May we be guided in peace. May we be blessed with health and joy. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May blessing. Amen.